Okay, so now that we've got the hand all rigged up, we've painted the weights, we've got the controllers on here, we need to add some corrective shapes to this. And the reason for that is the weight painting will only get us so far. All that does is make sure that the vertices closest to these bones move with the correct bone. But what it won't do is allow for things like volume corrections. Now if you watch the end of this finger here as it rotates along X, when it curls around, it feels thin in here. It's losing volume. It's losing volume across the top here. The knuckle is shrinking instead of holding still like a bone would. It's just kind of problematic. So what I'm going to do is I want to add some corrective shapes to this. Now, I want to see it at its base position here, but I also need to have it at its flexed position. And because I'm going to be toggling back and forth between there, what I want to do is add some keys to this. Now I think this should work, and let me just try it. If I select all of these from the tip up to the top knuckle, it will give me a nice curl when it deforms. If I select it any other way, the bones do nutty things. So I shift click to add these to the selection, and now when I curl it, they all make a fist. And so what I want to do is decide on a number in here that looks good. I think 90 will work. So what I'll do is put that back to 0. And at frame 1, I'll hit S and set a key on all of these. And at frame 10, I'll curl them to 90. So I'll just click there, middle click and drag. It's not really precise enough, so I'll just type in there 90. And because I have auto key on, that's already set. Okay? The thumb is unique. It isn't going to bend as much, so I'll do that one separately. What's this one? And 45 I think will work. So 0, S to set a key, frame 10 like everything else, 45. Okay, great. The problem that I'm going to have is that these folks are distracting. I need to add corrective shapes on each one of the joints essentially. So I need to isolate those in the motion. So what I need to do is, with all those three selected, what I can do is right mouse click on the X, because that's the one that moves, and I can just mute this. And see how it doesn't work anymore? The animation is still there, we're just not seeing it in the interface. So if I do that to all of the fingers, I'll turn off skeleton and I'll turn off geo, and I'll just group select those, right mouse click, mute selected. Good. So I'll turn my skeleton and my geo back on. Okay, one finger. And I can see where this is tugging along on this, so maybe I should fix those weights first. If I am not clicking object mode, oh, reference, that's why. I can paint skin weights. I need to find my index joint. Yeah, let's see if I can correct some of this paint first. Turn the value all the way off. Yeah, let's push some of these back. That first index bone here has too much control over the surrounding area, and it shouldn't. B, let's turn that up. Okay, now just to double check. Yeah, I see some gray popping in there again. You probably can't see it in the video, but you see the finger pop back into position as I paint negative weights in here. Essentially, what we saw in the last video, if it's black, it has no relationship to the selected bone in here. If it's white, it belongs entirely to that bone, and then shades of gray lets it fall off to the other bones. So I just need to tighten this up. Yeah. You're still moving. Why are you still moving? That's pretty unreal right there. You don't belong to that one. You don't belong to that one. Now the reason that this happens is because the joints take control over the vertices by proximity. There we go. I think that's as good as I'm going to get. Okay. Anyway, make sure that your weight paints are working properly, so you're not having a lot of grief later. Just going to take those back a little more. I'm not 100% convinced that it's not getting pulled around by something else in here. What I could do is say, you guys belong together here. Okay, time to get out of that. It's not what I want to do in this video, but it's not bad. So if I look at this first joint here, I want to work on this section up here. So to work on that, if I actually go to my sculpting panel, because it's some of the tools we'll use to pull the geometry around, this purple button here is the pose editor. Now I can get there if I go to my rigging tab. Let's see, deform, pose space deformation, pose editor. I can do the same thing. So I'm just going to click on this, and it brings up this pose editor window, which is empty. There's not a lot going on in here. And what we're effectively going to do is we have to create an interpolator, and then we drive shapes into that interpolator. So what I'm going to do is this. I need to be back at the relaxed position. I have the bone. I'm going to shift select the geometry with it, and then I'm going to say create an interpolator. Now this gives me a warning that says these joints are being driven by something else. And all that means is the joint itself, you'll see, will remain pretty much 0 throughout, but the controllers are the things doing the job. That's fine, no problem. All it's doing is telling us is that it's going to do some work to find out what the actual angle is on that bone, not just using the channel information. So we'll say yes. Okay. Then I'm going to go to pose frame 10, where the pose is a little weird here. And I'm going to add a pose on this side. And I'm going to call this finger flex 1, because it's the first one. And I can leave everything else at defaults. And if everything worked right, you can see that it's made a new pose on this side. It has the joint that we had selected. It also has its value, which was 90, based on the controller, 90 degrees, which is cool. And the fact that the geo attached to it is the hand. But most importantly, the weight over here is 1. The red edit button means that whatever we do to this shape now, the geometry, and we can do that using any tool. So let's say that I go into use the edge, and let's say I let's grab these knuckles first, and I'll pull them up. Go to world object space. Now it's moving in a strange sort of axis. Okay, and that comes back. This comes out and up. closer. Vertex, I'm going to hit B for the fall off weights and just pull that in. Pull this forward, pull it up. Shrink my brush down a little bit, pull this back. That feels small, pull it up. Go to faces. Pull these down. And again, I'm just moving back and forth to get a sense of how much volume I'm losing. Now, I could use the sculpt tools for this as well. But what I found is, because we have so many close points here, and the sculpt tools are a little bit hyperactive, I get better mileage just using these tools that we're very familiar with first. And what I want to try to do is control the volumes so that everything's not shrinking up when it deforms, especially when it's supposed to be flexing. Okay, I think that face is moving a little too... I don't mind that they're collapsing in and getting smaller this way, but they shouldn't be popping down like they pop down. It's getting better. Is that me, or does that edge or that face feel like it should pop out a little more? Just a tiny bit more. Okay, it's not bad. What's happening on top here? This point here feels like it should be over a smidge. Okay, so you can start getting much better shaping in here as it deforms. Oh, I don't want to go too far down because then I'm going to be interfering with the next joint. Okay, so that feels pretty good to me. Now, I have experienced some nasty crashes in this when I start adding more of these. So I want to save in between these each time now. So I'll do a save scene as. I've got a 10, I'm just going to jump up to 11 to clear it. Okay. Now what I want to do, go back up to object mode. I want to click that I'm done editing this pose. So I'll just hit the edit button and it goes gray. If I click my next bone, shift click the hand, and again I go back to the relaxed position when I start. I'll add another interpolator. Yes, that's fine. Go to the flex position at 10, and then I'm going to add a pose. I've had finger flex 1, I'm going to add finger flex 2. I'm going to create the shape. Okay? Now, it could be that I could add everything onto one interpolator. but I've had issues adding these to multiple poses on one interpolator, but maybe I'll try that on the next one here. So at frame 10, that's pretty small. I'm going to, oopsie daisy, undo that. I have to right mouse click on the geo. If I right mouse click on the joints, I get all these joint options. What I really want is just my vertices, or in this case my faces. So if I grab these two little guys here and just pull them up and in. Oh, again, I don't want to mess with those actually. Oh. Okay, I want to leave that alone. I want to stay clear of this joint because that belongs to this third one. The second one here is the one I want. And for that I'll grab edges. No, maybe I won't grab. No, I'll grab edges. Click that one. Shift click this one. And puff it up. Oopsie daisy. My undo broke the second one here. So you know what? I'm going to try this. If I delete this, no, it doesn't turn it back. I have to undo. Good. I'm going to garbage this. Let's just try this. If I grab the second bone, shift select this, go to frame 15, or 10 actually, and I add another pose. Does it work? No, I have to add another interpolator for another bone. So the interpolator is per bone. Okay, fine. Create pose interpolator. Yes. Frame 10. Add pose. Create the shape. Good. It's set to 1. I can go to town on it. I'll come in here. Right mouse click edge. I'll grab one of you. One of you. And now again, my movements in here are a little wacky. That's better. Okay, good. Object mode, third bone, shift select the hand, create the new pose. Yes. Frame 10. Now, before I do this, file, save scene. Add pose. Finger flex 3. Create shape. Set to 1. Good. Right mouse click. Edge. Actually, you know what? I'm going to try some sculpting in here. So, if I double click to bring up my tools, strength is already down for mine, but if I reset my tools, this is what it's like normally. And it's very high. The size is huge. I need it to be way smaller. Again, I'll hold my B key for that. And I want to turn the strength way back. And the first brush here is to lift the surface. So I could try pulling those up. But see how it just shoots those points up? Even if I turn my strength down. If I hold shift, it'll smooth it out. Sculpting in Maya should just be like, very similar to sculpting in Mudbox. But it starts warping them in a way that I don't like. It's not symmetrical across the sides of the finger, and it's a little bit huge. I don't mind using the smooth brush later if I get tangled mess, especially up in here where my verts aren't as clean as they probably could be. But for this, it's still a pretty clean structure, so I think what I'd rather do is select some edges, pop these up, pull these down. Well, that's a little too much. Hit the B key on my sculpt tool. There we go. Pull those down. Pull those out. Pull these up. Vertex. Pull this down and out. I could have pulled the whole edge out probably. It's getting a little noisy in there. I'm just going to turn the bones off. And that's starting to feel a lot better. If I'm at all curious as to what it used to look like, I could go back to object mode, select these three, there you go. Right mouse click on the rotate X and then unmute them. And so that's what it used to look like. Got some weird bends and stuff. And that's what it looks like now. Puffed up. Now it's still a bit round across the front. I probably need to go back to this pose interpolator, and again, file save. Jumping between these, I have found it to be very crashy. So I'm going to hit edit, and then I think I'm going to select the edge. I'll select these two. Just pop them up a little bit. Silly thumb, you're in the way. Okay, and that feels pretty good to me. So essentially that's going to be it. I'm going to go around cleaning up the shapes on all these fingers so that when it flexes, the volume maintains nicely. You can fix knuckles so that they don't roll where there should be solid bone. And once that's all done, then we can start playing with the hand to do other things if we want. But for all intents and purposes, that is what we wanted to achieve here. We wanted a simple hand modeled from a reference image with bones in place, with controllers that we could use, and shapes that didn't do nasty things. And just like when we were working on the palm, there's an awful lot of things that we could just keep tweaking on this to get it to work properly. And that's kind of it. Okay, so good luck with this. Follow along. I'll be around for help, and we'll talk about this again on Monday. Okay. Thank you. Bye.